Hey guys, it's Venia here from the lounge, the spiritual lounge. Today is Rapture Day, and obviously, I have not been good. And if you're watching me, you haven't either because we're still here. Um, you know, oh well, I didn't make the cut, and neither did you guys, so what are we gonna do? Um, you know, it's the 23rd, by the way, of September. I guess this was the new Rapture date. I had done a video before on the whole Rapture thing. I guess I did it the last time there was supposed to be a Rapture. So I'll just repeat a few of the highlights of that video, okay? Um, there is no Rapture. There will be no Rapture ever, okay? And I'm sorry to bust some bubbles or uh, popular thought on this. We have to work out our, let's say, our karmic obligations. Okay, no one is going to be saved. No one is going to be rescued. No one is going to be magically transported to wherever they're supposed to be transported. Um, and how do I know this? Because I've seen that we have to basically put one foot in front of the other as far as energy goes and how we let our energetic life unfold. Okay? And that's very important to the universe. That's very important to our progression as spirits. Okay? It's extremely important to our soul. Okay? Our soul, um, as you know, and I've written about and talked about, is the absolute highest expression of our selves, right? And our souls put us in different, puts itself in different incarnations, different experiences, different existences, okay, for a reason, for a purpose. And it needs that energetic unfoldment, okay, of progression, of the experience, okay? And the whole rapture thing, from what I understand about the rapture, it's a very human made up type of thing. In other words, I guess those that are like good are gonna get raptured or rescued or whatever they're gonna do. And if I sound ignorant on this, um, it's not that I'm totally ignorant on it. It's just that I have grasped the overall concept of it, and it just doesn't vibe with anything that I have seen from a spiritual level. Okay, so we have to allow ourselves to live our lives, which was the absolute most important thing I was shown and taught during my NDE. Just live. Literally, just live. And in living, right, we produce certain actions, right, from our core inner beliefs, our core inner understanding, our core foundation of who we actually are. Okay? And in living, all those things get put into play. Okay? And that is what makes up the tapestry of who we are. And that tapestry, that spiritual, energetic tapestry, is extremely important to not only our soul, but our spiritual selves. Okay? So, in living, day to day, minute by minute, sometimes, right? Living, we are unfolding all that understanding, okay? All that comprehension that we've garnered. And it does build that tapestry. And that tapestry is what we carry with us forever. Okay? And that is why it is so important that we weave that tapestry of our life the best that we know how, right? And so, by the way, my husband today is at a funeral. For those of you that have been following me for a little bit, you know that, our history of funerals. I did not go with him, obviously. Um, I don't really attend funerals that much anyway. I just don't, and for just reasons that probably some of you will understand. But um, he better be there behaving himself, okay? That's all I'm going to say. He just better be there behaving himself. All right? But anyway, so, hey, for those of you that are stuck here with me, maybe we'll make the cut next time. Who knows? Right? But seriously, that whole tapestry of ourselves, of our lives, of our energies, of our intentions, okay, is what gets registered to our souls, to our spiritual selves. Nothing else does. Trust me, nothing else does. You will never care nor remember that you were the CEO of whatever company, or that achieved such and such, or you got such a great, beautiful house. Okay? All of that doesn't register, but the intentions and the actions involving those things are what matters, okay, and what is registered with your soul account and your spiritual account, okay? So, I'm sure there's some super duper evangelicals out there today that are just, already figuring out the next date of the next rapture that won't occur. But meanwhile, for those of us who know that that date is tomorrow, and remember, tomorrow never comes, we're going to keep fortifying our life in the best way we know how, right? The absolute best, living the best way we know how. Okay? And we miss a lot, and we don't always get it right. I surely don't. I surely don't. However, our intention is always there. Our intention is always there. And typically, usually in the right place, right? So that's my thoughts on that. This is going to be an extremely short video today. I'm sorry, but I'm going to come back on real soon. But I really had to address that today. But there are a couple things news noteworthy that I just wanted to remember to remind you guys about. Um, Besides Disney losing all that money and 7 billion in like 3 days, right? Um, and they're still being a little stubborn, even though they bought Kimmel back. Um, and when I first heard that, I said, "Oh, that's not going to be." I don't see that really sticking. That they suspended him. But here's the thing: Sinclair, which is the company that owns a lot of broadcasting stations, um, is still going to not air his show on some of those stations. Okay, they're still being a little stubborn and whatever. But eventually, that's going to fall by the wayside too. Um, as with a lot of actions, these major companies are trying to do to fall in line with Don the Con. You know, this whole technocratic, authoritarian, dictatorship type of rule, it's just, I've told you guys over and over again, it's just not going to fly. It's just not going to fly anymore. Okay? Um, it's not. Um, so Russia had another humongous earthquake again. And if you look, they've had like, I don't know, maybe 67, I believe, was the last count. In just the past, it hasn't even been a week. Okay? They're just not getting the signs. And they're sending those drones into Poland and Estonia and Romania. Um, However, the funniest thing is, remember I told you guys, I think it was in the previous video, that I see that they're just kind of, poking the bear, just testing the waters, that type of thing. There's not going to be a World War III type of scenario. But what it's caused is NATO to strengthen its forces along the border. And so even though Don the Khan has reduced security funding for those countries that border Russia, NATO has stepped up big time and they are fortifying all of those different borders. And NATO has the capabilities to do that. And something else that I saw, um, there, when it comes to sort of like a head with Russia trying to test everybody's defenses and stuff, the United States will actually step in and do the right thing. If you notice, um, you know, Putin thinks he's doing this with NATO, thinking that we're separate from NATO. However, even though Don the Khan has tried to separate us from NATO, there are some other people, like in the House, the Senate, the House, that they're not going to have that. That's they're going to step in behind the scenes and say, nope, that's not happening. I just see us putting our foot down at some point. When exactly, I'm not sure, but no overall scenario of World War III. Um, I've been telling you guys about the Philippines for the last couple of videos. Well, that, excuse me, prediction finally came to pass, unfortunately. They were hit with what is called a super typhoon yesterday. And it just, if you could just see the damage, and the winds were up to 190 miles per hour. Someone had registered 212 mile per hour winds. I'm not sure about that, but I know that they were up extremely high. It's a super typhoon. And now China is bracing for that part too, if they haven't already been hit. Um, so that is quite concerning for the Philippines. And let's just send them love. That even though they're experiencing this, somehow it is lightened and lessened for them. Uh, okay, JFK. Do you guys remember months ago I told you about there were several people that I saw surrounding Don the Con, and bit by one they were going to be gone. And then I named them, specifically named them. It was Matt Gates, JFK Jr., Elon, Vivek, Mike Johnson, um, and one by one, all of those are all gone except for the two, JFK Jr. and Mike Johnson. Now, I want you to watch out for JFK now, okay? Um, I'm not going to say too much on that, although I will say that he needs to seriously be very careful with his health. With his health, I see a serious, uh, almost like an explosion in his body. His body is about to revolt against him. I don't know whether that's going to be heart issues or something else that comes up, but just keep your eye on JFK Jr. He needs to be careful. Also, do you guys remember what I told you about Vance, who will eventually uh, assume the presidency, right? And I said that he will be distracted, extremely distracted by other forces in his personal life, and not only that, but he will be at clashing with a lot of the people that's in this current administration, and he's going to clean house on some of them, okay? And he's going to tone down a lot of what's been going on because he has his sights set on the future. And he knows that right now there's no chance in hell any Republican would win, and they're still not going to win. But he hopefully is going to uh, keep that hope alive for himself. He's going to tone down not only the rhetoric and the actions, but he is going to somewhat clean house with those who are currently in there. There's going to be a few people going. This country is in for some major changes coming very soon. So, just a little reminder on that prediction. And it's funny because I've noticed, I'd say within the last week or two, he's sort of been easing back into the spotlight. Okay, and we all know Don the Con is hanging by a thread. I even described it one day as being held up by Scotch tape, right? So I was going to grab the Scotch tape. But anyway, so you guys get the picture. And so, one last thing I just wanted to talk about was we had two major eclipses recently. Okay, we had uh, the lunar eclipse, and then we had the solar eclipse. Okay, lunar eclipses typically bring endings, and that was when I had a death in the family, and several other things happened. Um, but they bring endings, not always about death. It could be ending of an addiction, ending of a relationship, ending of a bad habit. Um, and the solar eclipse usually starts a brand new something. Could be a brand new chapter in life, brand new relationship, brand new beginning of a new job, brand new something. But anyway, these energies that we just experienced, okay, it's sort of like a window from the universe that allows for getting rid of the old so that you can start anew. And it does this in mass, okay? So while we may have experienced an ending of one thing, right? There's this new beginning that's beginning for many of us, most of us in some way, okay? And I can tell you both have affected me. Both have affected me and my life. And I also know that it has affected those several loved ones around me. Now, here's the thing, there's a 6 month period where these, excuse me, energies are very strong. So if you haven't necessarily felt it directly yet, there's a 6 month window. So it's just something to keep basically in the back of your mind. And even though it may come initially as something so called negative, there's always a positive to it. Always. Okay? And remember, I told you, and I've told you a gazillion times, the universe is never ever cruel. Divine love is never cruel. Ever. There is no cruelty in how divine love unfolds itself. To our view, it may seem cruel. But if we have expanded vision and see the entire picture of things, we will see the mechanism of love and how it works. Okay? So, my relative who passed, I just found out recently, within the last day, that they had been passed longer than what we had initially thought. Okay, and so it would seem that, oh my God, that's horrible. Like they were alone in the house, dead for however long. However, her spirit was long gone, did not suffer. It was just the physical body that was in the house. Okay? So, and like I told you guys initially, she was free. She was free of pain, of loneliness, and of missing her loved ones. Looking at it now is just truly a blessing. Truly a blessing. But, so anyway, this unfoldment of these eclipse energies, which are extremely powerful, and the way they've hit us, have not hit us for many years like this. Okay? So this is just sort of like a prep. If it hasn't affected you yet, it will at some point in that 6 month window. Okay? Um, and, you know, just always remember that it's sort of like, okay, you got the ending and the beginning. It's like the full circle, right? The absolute full circle. The lunar brings ending, the solar brings beginning. Okay? And it could be something as simple as like the lunar eclipse brought out, revealed things to you, major things that you needed to know. Okay? Um, you may have become aware of a situation that you weren't aware of with people or an actual situation or whatever. But the ending, the beginning is the full circle. All right? So, anyway, like I said, it's going to be short today. But thanks for checking in, guys, and I will see you guys really soon. Take care.